Something like 75% of global advertising spend is currently held within the big six marketing holding groups. We believe there's a big opportunity to pitch TMG in a space between the big six and the much smaller independents or mid-sized marketing groups who have generally a local footprint or a couple of offices around the world. We're going for a global play, and we're using a platform approach to deliver a future-facing global marketing approach for big brands who want something a bit more personalized, a bit more agile, and a viable alternative to the big six. Unlike the existing large marketing holding companies, we are not based upon legacy advertising businesses, and because we're launching now in the modern era of communications and technology, we can make the best of those tools and have a much more agile approach to management. So by decentralizing the management structure, by deliberately flattening the hierarchy, we can cut through so much of the bureaucracy where so much value is eroded. So last year, TMG acquired a lot of agencies, and after that period of intense acquisition, we then set about a period of internal focus in order to really look at the synergies and look at the operational side of things. We've created our own internal tool called Temba, which is an interagency database which facilitates collaboration. And we've been focusing very much on hooking up the agencies and getting them working together. So we've got numerous examples of them pitching for bigger clients together and collaborating on projects across the world. You know, we've got a project at the moment where the lead agency is in London, but the branding and design is being done in Australia. And you know, those distances don't matter so much nowadays because of the use of technology and because of our agile approach to running this thing. Yes, certainly. So we've got offices in 8 countries. We've got a presence in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, London, San Francisco, and Lithuania, with satellite offices in some other areas. And we've grouped our services into 3 communities of practice: brand and communications, influence and amplification, and science and performance. Within each of those communities, the agencies who are complementary collaborate, but of course we collaborate across those communities as well, so they're very much not silos. And through grouping the agencies in this way and by focusing on the internal collaboration, we're seeing additional value from the synergies that creates.
Well, the NASDAQ First North we listed in euros, which is a major currency, which I think is helpful. Secondly, it has a lot of technology-based companies on that market, which is good for us, and it also gives us access to the main market when we're ready to progress onto the next stage. The other great thing about NASDAQ First North is it has received UK growth market status, and that gives advantages for UK-based investors for tax purposes. Well, at the interim, we divested of 3 operating companies which didn't fit in with group strategy, and the results weren't actually helping our overall group results. So I think that was important, so that we're now left with a core of companies which fit with our strategy and help drive the business going forward. Secondly, we clearly made a large write-down of goodwill, and I think the important thing to sort of follow here is that the goodwill was created not through the cash purchase of acquisitions, but they were paper transactions, and those valuations which were recorded in the balance sheet reflected the high share price at the time of some of those acquisitions. So what we actually did was to fully review all of the operating companies that we were left with. The ones which had left the group we fully wrote off, and then we reflected the current performance of those companies and made sure the goodwill reflected those, and that we weren't carrying any excess goodwill that was based on a historical valuation of those businesses. On the operating results side, Q2 showed a marked improvement from the Q1 results. Some of that was obviously from the restatement of the 3 operating companies which left the group, but above and beyond that, all of the companies put in a stronger performance across the board, and I think it was a more solid quarter, and it gives us a platform for the rest of the year, you know, and the core group that we have left to grow and continue growing. Well, after the period of internal focus that we've necessarily had to undertake over the first 6 months or so of this year, we're now able to move the group forward, looking at further acquisitions which fit strategically with our requirements for the group, and you know, look to take the group on to the next level.